All right, here we go. Overdrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker up on TSN. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. There's our buddy Jonas Siegel from The Athletic. How we doing on I wouldn't say a beautiful Thursday, but golf is back. The Masters is back. Everything's all good.
Everything is great, Hazy. I got my cottage rewired. You know the specifics of what I had to do. Kind of disappointing I had to do it, but I'll always be good to go from here on in. I've got new equipment, but I would like to give a shout out to my new friend on the 400. On the way here, it's kind of egotistical, but I think people would know me as like a Leafs guy. So if I see someone with Leafs apparel, I'll go up to them and be like, hey, go Leafs. Sometimes it doesn't work. Yesterday at Starbucks, or the other day at Starbucks when I was in there, I saw a couple with Leafs jerseys, and I rolled down my window and I said, hey, go Leafs, go. And the guy goes, yeah, whatever, man. And you just, it wasn't funny.
Why do you keep bothering people?
Dude, it's not bothering. It's just not bothering. Because he literally did not look and he goes, whatever, man. And I'm like, oh, dog, you're not Wendell Clark and they don't want to see you. But today, 400 north, 120 clicks, I pass a guy and I know he's got a massive Leafs hoodie with an old school logo on the front. On the way by, I roll down my window and I give him the jersey signal and the thumbs up. And he looks and he starts freaking out and he rolls down his window and he goes, I was at the morning skates. This is going 120 north. And I'm like, are we going to do line combos on the 400? I just had to give him a thumbs up back and say, good job, man, because I couldn't do line combos,
dude,
with my new friend on the 400.
This is getting carried away because it's one thing to bother people when you're on foot.
Yes,
you're bothering people, dude, in the car now, Jonas.
Do you not like
400?
Hang on a sec, Jonas. Do you not like small talking with people
in the car? In the car.
Dude, they were walking into Starbucks. I was driving away from it, and I just rolled down my window and I said, hey, go Leafs, go. What's wrong with that?
That's okay.
It's a Torontonian thing to do. And the guy didn't look at me, and he just said, yeah, whatever, man. And I said, okay, I guess you're in a bad mood today.
Yeah, it's his problem. It's his fault. But
how did you want him to respond?
Yeah.
I thought he would say, like, hey, go Leafs, go. Something like that. I don't know.
That seems like a reasonable response. I mean, unless he thought you were mocking him for whatever reason, or somewhat ironically, he's a Habs fan wearing a Leaf hoodie hoping people would chirp it or something like that, which seems like a really warped mentality. But okay, I'll grant you that. I think that naturally happens when you're elsewhere around the world, right? Like, for instance, you're walking the streets of Paris or something, you see a Leaf hat. Hey, how are you? Toronto, that I understand. When you're
more than acceptable.
Yeah, when you're, walking down Yonge Street, it seems somewhat unnecessary considering we're in the city. But the 400, the yell back and forth, and I hate the 400. I don't like that highway. It seems tight. I know they got the HOV lanes in there, which I do appreciate.
Dude, he wanted to do line combo chats.
Yeah,
he wanted to do line combo chats like a couple golden retrievers on the 400 with our heads out the window. And I just was like, I got to keep trucking here. I got to go north. I'm going north.
Okay, well, he's going north. You're going north. I guess that means, the Leaf game tonight, not going to be happening for you or your buddy on the 400, but they are in action tonight. They got New Jersey for the third time in a week and a half.
Dude,
I'd like to file a complaint. No kidding. Can the league figure this out? Like, how stupid is that?
You know what I'd like to do, Hazy? I'd like to DM somebody about that.
Yes.
I'd like to slide into someone's DMs about that.
I like the way you're thinking. We are devising a new bit. The wheels are in motion, Jonas.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to debut a little bit of that today, or you want to maybe just wait for it next week?
We're going to wait next week, but the premise is, and fan interaction, if you have some thoughts or feedback, it's going to be called the slide. And what this is slide into someone's DMs, a player to a coach, Mitch Marner to Sheldon Keefe, maybe Bo Bichette to Ross Atkins, Bryan Hayes to Ken Griffey Jr. It doesn't matter. There's all kinds of options. If you have a message you want to relay from someone to someone else sports-wise, we're going to do it in the slide into the DMs.
Yes, we're sliding into DMs, and then basically there's a role play element to that. You got to respond as someone who actually is the host of said direct message box.
You test drive it for me right now with this jersey thing?
Okay.
Well,
the jersey thing.
I don't know if you can with the
No,
thing.
not the New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey? Oh, this one.
Oh, yes, it's a DM to Gary Bettman. Please don't make a team play 3 times in 4 days because it's a little bit boring and we're tired of covering it. Is there anything you can do about that? Jonas, you're now Gary. What's your response?
Well, listen, Jeff, how do you reject the premise of the question? That's what Gary Bettman likes to do, right? He doesn't actually answer the question. He'll attack your question.
Right.
First.
How dare you even ask that?
Jeff, how do you not understand how the schedule works? There's 82 games. We have a lot of teams. We have jersey or stadium availability that you don't understand. I'm not going to get into this. Next question.
It'd be something.
Well,
it'd
Jerry,
be snarky.
I have a little bit of a response for you. It's fix the schedule. We're a big market in this league, so don't make us do this again. Goodbye.
All right, a back and forth DM. I like that. See, there's responses to DMs. You can leave someone on red. You can block and report. There's a lot of different options.
Do you get rattled when someone leaves you on or red and they don't respond?
I don't think you see it much anymore.
No.
Like the majority
I'm
of
too
people
old to even think about that. I don't look to see if it says red. I could care less.
Okay.
I guess if it's something important, but I can't think of anyone that I text with regularly that has that setting on their phone.
Yeah.
You know, like I know a couple of buddies that do, a couple of people I'm sure at work that have it, but most people deactivate that.
As you should.
Yeah, because of the nature of, I saw it, but I'm busy, I can't get back to you. And if someone knows that you've seen it and you didn't respond, they might take that personally.
Yeah.
Although that could be a genuine reaction. Like it actually might be accurate. You should take it personally. Someone read it and said, screw this guy, I'm not writing him back. Or it could be a simple explanation like I'm busy, I got my kids with me, I can't write you back or whatever, and you're going to take it whichever way you choose. So I don't know. I don't think I take it personally, but I can't say I come across that very often. So yes, the slide is coming. I'd like to slide into my DMs from yesterday and go back and pick Bryson DeChambeau, possibly pick Viktor Hovland. He torched this course this time last year. The same thing is happening today. But he came in this year not playing well, playing horribly based on his standing, based on his status, changing his swing coach.
Dude,
changing
why
his
is he
swing.
doing that? He just won $30 million last year.
It's crazy, man. It's what Tiger used to do. Tiger used to torch the field and then try to change the way he swings and get a new swing coach. But Viktor Hovland is on fire, but Bryson DeChambeau is 7 under on 18. He is running away on Thursday. Now, again, it's early. Things can change. Things will change. But Bryson famously said a few years ago, this is a par 68 because the par 5s are par 4s for me. And he played it.
To chop that event.
He was a disaster. He missed the cut, I think, the last 3 years. But this year, he's putting on a clinic today, man. His putter's red hot. He's getting out of any trouble he might be in. He's currently on 18. He's in a bunker. He probably will put this in the middle of the green, 2-putt and finish with a 7 under. And if that's the case, that's quite the start, man.
Yeah. And that doesn't guarantee him anything, Hazy B, because Tiger Woods always says, you're not winning anything on Thursday, but you can lose it on Thursday. Like, you go out there and shoot a +4, you're in big time trouble when a guy posts 7 under like that. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, he's going to be in or around the lead. I would say the percentages would be very high come Sunday. Like, he's going to be going off in one of the last 2 or 3 groups if he can just simply maintain.
It feels like a top 10 lock. You know, like crazy things can happen at majors and certainly at a tournament like this. But he is a very good player that's won a major before. Even if he shoots a 73 tomorrow, he's still going to be within 2 or 3 shots of the lead. Like if he shoots even par tomorrow and Saturday, he's probably in the top 10 on Sunday. So he's started his tournament beautifully. But the Masters obviously had a delay this morning, 2.5 hours. Tiger Woods just got on the course. I don't know if he missed that birdie putt on one. I didn't see it. Doogie, I'm sure you're watching and tracking it, but he had a birdie putt on one.
Get on the Doogie tracker, by the way. Just Doogie/Tiger tracker, and we want updates. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have an update for us here, Doogie, in terms of now we're not paying? Okay, it's all good. Yeah, you guys do whatever you got to do.
When will you stop caring what he does at major?
Never for Tiger Woods.
Ever?
Never early because I just want him to make the cut.
Okay.
Like, I just want him to make the cut. I'm not saying I think he's going to win. I don't believe he will. I don't really believe he can. But it's Tiger Woods. It's Augusta National. I am immediately captivated.
Oh, Tiger Woods 1 under after 1.
He did birdie the first. What a start. There was a prop sent to us last night that was paying big plus money on a birdie on 1 for Eldrick.
Dude, that's insane how somebody was mega horny that he was going to birdie 1, and he does.
All right. There you go. Tiger in the red early. Jonas, you have to love that. You love Tiger.
Yes.
You're a Tiger guy?
I've got 2 years left of him, fellas. When he turns 50, it's not like he's going to have the elasticity in his back and his legs, and like Phil Mickelson, he won't be able to putt when he's 50. I got 2 years of him, and I'm a mega fan. I'm not our boss, but I'm a mega fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got with him.
All
2
right.
years. I think he's got 2 years to win one more golf tournament. But it also wouldn't shock me if he walks home on Friday and slams his trunk because he missed the cut.
It's early. I mean, he's got 35 more holes to go to make the cut. But you start strong. I mean, we'll see how many holes he gets in today. Probably 13, 14, maybe 15, which means he's going to have to play, 21, 22, 23 holes tomorrow. But still, he's off to a good start. So, all right, we will track the Masters. Doogie's all over it. Joe from the Bridge is all over it. But yeah, the Leafs are in action tonight, and we're creeping towards the end here. Jonas, you're writing pieces, I'm sure, daily. You're trying to get creative. When do you start talking about who they're going to play in the first round? Like what?
I mean, I wrote that like a week and a half ago, and now I would change everything I wrote.
Based
Not
on
everything, but
you mean them versus Florida, projecting that round?
No, I just meant like what their lineup is going to look like. Because I still don't really actually know.
Do you think? I think that top line's staying intact. I don't think you can change it, and I certainly wouldn't. Like unless something catastrophic happens over the final 4 games, but why would we expect it would?
Yeah.
For me, it's Matthews,
Jonas,
Bertuzzi,
let
Domi.
me do kind of a big circle back with you.
Yeah.
Because we've had you on a bunch, and Brian and I both really enjoy talking Leafs with you.
Oh, thanks.
And you've kind of had the approach this year where it's been negative Nancy, and you haven't liked this and you haven't liked that. Are they not doing things now that at least kind of gives you more of a positive outlook on what you're watching? It has to, no?
For sure. I should start sending you everything.
But it looks like it pains you to talk positively about it.
Dude, I do not care if they're good or if they're bad. It does not change for me. But they've been good. Like, I can't nitpick with, well, I'm always going to nitpick because that's my job. Like, I'm not just going to wave pom-poms.
Analyze the team, yeah.
Yeah, but like lots of things have changed. Like we talked about last week, you weren't around, but you think of all the players who had poor first halves who have turned things around in the second half.
Yeah,
it's like
positive
it's a lot of guys. The only thing like I've been thinking the last few days, like what would this team look like if Matthews had just been having like a normal season? Like how many fewer wins would they have? Like that's been rattling around in my brain. Like if he had 55 right now,
man, I got to tell
how
you,
would we be
Jonas,
thinking
that's a
about them?
really Toronto thing to look into. It's like
Why?
positive things, 70 goals are on the horizon, and you got to dig deep to say,
no, it's
how
a
crappy
credit.
would these guys be if this guy didn't do this? It's like that's a Toronto negative thing.
It's a credit to him that like he's basically scored a goal a game since December.
Yeah, it's wild.
If
what
he
he's
scored
doing.
70, would you vote him as the Hart winner?
I've been thinking about that so much the last. So I don't really care if he scores 70. Like if he scores 68, like I don't really think that there's a difference. But I've been thinking to myself, like I've been leaning towards McKinnon as like my number one guy. But then I keep thinking, like if this dude has 68 goals, 69 goals, whatever, 70, and he's a top 5 defensive player, defensive forward in the league, how is he not the MVP? How? Like, I don't...
It's a very good question.
I don't know how to break it down any simpler than that. Like, how do I not vote him first?
Yeah, I think, as we've said countless times over the weeks, if not months, you can make a very compelling case for every single player here, all 4 of them.
But what's a stronger case than that?
Well, I think...
Kucherov.
Yeah, but like,
McKinnon.
but like Kucherov, you can kind of pick apart a little bit. I can't really pick apart.
Dude, don't even think about coming at me. Don't come
I got
at
a good
me, bro.
stat for you, actually.
Don't come at me, bro, with Kucherov minuses, because I'm not listening to it.
This was in The Athletic today. How many empty net points do you think Kucherov has?
He's got a fair
12.
amount, for sure, yeah.
Yes.
12?
14.
So what?
I don't know. It's just part of the conversation.
That
like, if
again,
you're
that
gonna
is the
throw
exact same thing as the Toronto would be crappy without Matthews
I never said that.
connotation.
No, I never said that. I just said, like, if he was just he's having like a season for the ages, like one of the 5 best scoring seasons ever. If he was just having a normal year, what would their team look like? And that gets to the MVP. That's what an MVP is.
But I think you'd say the same thing about McKinnon in Colorado. What are they without him? What is Edmonton 100%. Without McDavid? Although they look great last night.
Yeah.
And Kucherov, again, is clearly, that's a team with like great players, like the Leafs have, like Colorado, like Edmonton has. But Point, Stamkos, Hedman, Vasilevsky, and Kucherov is the clear-cut number one guy on that team in terms of the way he operates and the discrepancy between the points he's putting up and pushing them over the top compared to the rest of his team is really, really substantial. So that's the case for him, is that it is MVP for your team, not compared to what Matthews is doing necessarily. That has to be a part of the discussion, because at some point you got to pick between those guys.
Yes.
It is an individual award, and you're pitting the top 5, 7, 10 guys against each other. But I think it starts with the role you play on your own team, and then you expand from there. And again, all of them, I don't think there's a wrong answer, but there has to be at some point a right answer. Someone's got to win. And
I don't think he's going to get
I don't think
votes.
he's going to get it. No, I don't think he will. And I think McKinnon's going to get it because the Lifetime Achievement Award will win out.
Yes.
That's what's coming. Kucherov has one. Matthews has one. McDavid's got 3. McKinnon doesn't. He wins. Ty will go to the guy who hasn't got one. That's why I think McKinnon's going to win it. And it's not that he isn't unbelievable and having a great season. He is. I think the one thing that sticks out Kucherov compared to the others is he plays the wing, which is a less impactful position.
And a huge chunk of his points are on the power play.
Yes.
However, he is very instrumental to that.
Well, and this is where the goalposts move every year, because last year, McDavid, a ton of points on the power play.
Yeah, like 70.
And they had historically the greatest power play in league history. That wasn't held against him. And this is where it does bother me, and this isn't me making the case for Matthews necessarily, but I noticed at times this year, because last year, it was McDavid wins outright because 64 goals, 153 points. Okay.
I think he was
deservedly so.
I think there was one vote for Pasternak to be first.
Okay.
And he might have been 5th on that ballot. There was something goofy about that ballot. Okay. But yes, deservedly so. I'm not arguing against that. Last year I said the same thing. McDavid's your Hart winner. Then this year, especially with McDavid, I noticed, and maybe this was largely coming out of Edmonton, was after the firing of the coach, and then they started taking off, and he was well back in terms of points, the discussion became, but look at what he's doing defensively. Defensively, he's been great. And isn't that supposed to be important? Okay, keep that energy and apply it to 34 in Toronto.
100%.
Because if it does matter, then this guy's the best of the bunch. Like Matthews is clear-cut the best defensive player of the 4 of them.
That's what it's all about, Brian. Every year it seems like people, they select a certain category of one particular player, and they either pump it up or they nitpick it and say, he deserves it because of this, or he doesn't deserve it. And it just flip-flops. It could be the same thing going both ways. Oh, that guy was on for a bunch of minus points. Next year, everyone will be saying, Kucherov's defensive game's really, really good. I think he deserves. It's just insane what goes on.
Yeah.
Just look at who's the best guy, who's doing the most outrageous, amazing things, and who is the Hart Trophy winner.
But then, what would your answer be?
About what?
Like if I gave you my vote, guy? I said, you can have my ballot. You fill it out. Who would you have as number 1?
If Austin Matthews scores 70 goals, I don't even think it's a contest, and I don't care how many points the other 2 guys get. And please don't come at me with Toronto bias. I think 70 goals wraps things up.
But
I agree, but what if he scores 69?
Yes, exactly.
Would
it change anything for you?
Like it basically should be determined
even better.
That could put him over the top.
He really gets it then.
Now he definitely wins.
He gets it.
Yeah, but you're right, Jonas. Like, what if he doesn't? Like, McDavid might not play again the rest of the year. Is he out?
Yes.
And if Matthews has scored 66 and 100 and whatever points, and is the clear-cut man on his team. They all are. They're all the best players on the team.
But you know what the problem is, Hayes? You mentioned the defensive stuff. If we had some number, and we do, but it's not like if you could point to and say, this guy's the best, this in terms of defense, we don't have something that people generally can agree on that this tells me how good defensively he is. So you can't, voters in other markets who aren't paying as close attention can't quantify it for Matthews, and they're like, yeah, great, he scores a lot, but
yet the goal scoring alone should be what is most highlighted here is that this guy he has scored more goals than Alex Ovechkin ever scored in a season. Mm-hmm. He just put his name into the same category that Mario Lemieux was in the mid-90s, Like,
and he's one of the 5 best defensive forwards,
right,
or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think I think what happens here is that he's won it before. I do think there's a Toronto component to it, and I think it's more so even voters in Toronto will say I can't vote for him because I don't want it to come out that I live here and I cover the whole league, but I went with Matthews.
I'm wrestling that with a part of that myself. Like, am I being biased because I watch him all the time? But I don't think I am, because like this is
there's
insane.
nothing biased about a guy who's going to score 70. No. Anybody saying that guy's the Hart. Like,
you
nobody.
Just write that name. I'll come over to your house and write the name in the envelope and send it.
I'll just send you the link. It's all online.
Yeah.
No, who cares what people think? Everybody complains about everything anyway.
Well, exactly.
So
I don't,
matter.
but like, I'm checking my own biases. Like, if I was watching McKinnon all the time,
and
would I be like, well, that's great, he scored a lot of goals, but I've seen this dude, he's going to have 150
I got to be honest, Jonas,
points.
if you covered the Avalanche all the time and you watch that McKinnon, you would probably be on the show saying there's just no way anyone else is winning. I don't care about 70 goals. You might be saying that.
Right.
Look at his highlights last night. Anybody
Yes.
that was covering and watching those 3 goals would have been saying, that's easily the best player in the league right now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's a great sign for the NHL, is what it is, that these are all the best players. Like, we're talking McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon. Those are the 3 best centers in the world. Mm-hmm. They're all in their prime. They're all in their 20s.
Yeah.
And they're all going to the playoffs, and they're all having remarkable seasons. Mm-hmm. As I said the other day, I think Pasternak and Kucherov and Panarin are probably the 3 best wingers in the league.
Yep.
Or if not, they're certainly in contention, which, again, is falls into the lap of the NHL for marketing. Like, this should be this story. Instead, it's Salt Lake City getting a team.
Embarrassing.
Like, that's another thing that I find so silly. And I guess you can't control it because we're talking massive money and we're talking people's lives and business and players association. Everyone's involved here. And the news got out when the news got out, and that's good reporting, and it's natural, and it's going to happen. The fact that this is taking up oxygen, and a lot of it, instead of, did you see Matthews last night? Have you seen what McKinnon's doing? Can you believe the playoffs are coming? It's Salt Lake City and Arizona.
Are you saying that all that business should have been kept under wraps?
I would say that would have been ideal. Yeah. And it's not, you can't do, there's nothing you can do about that. And good reporting is good reporting, and it's out of the bag now, and it's, the NHL's still not reporting. They're not commenting on it.
Yeah.
They can't.
And that Ryan Smith was probably mega horned up to get that out there. Like, he wanted that train to get rolling, so he's like,
he put out that tweet asking for a name.
Explain to me how this guy's different than Jim Balsillie. What is he doing? Why was it Balsillie can't say anything publicly? Don't talk about it. You're outcast. This guy's sending tweets out. What should we name my team? And he's just going to get in the club?
Maybe because it's like an emergency situation where they
Balsillie was, well, I guess he was going to buy the team, but it was going to be a similar situation.
Maybe because of the want. Maybe because they want this guy to have a team. And maybe they didn't want Jim Balsillie to be in Hamilton having a team. So there's want involved, and that's why the message gets shot out there.
I understand
Very
that.
simple.
Yeah, and that is the accurate answer. I understand it. I'm just highlighting the hypocrisies of Balsillie's. You can't speak publicly. Sorry, you're out. This guy, we could get him on the show. He'd probably be like, yeah, I think they'll be here by the end of the week. And
anything you want. Let anything fly on social media. We don't care. We like you. You got billions.
You're in.
Bring it.
You're in. There's some signing news in the NHL. Noah Hannafin has signed an 8-year extension with Vegas.
There you go.
$7.35 million. Which,
great deal. That's a great signing.
It's a really good deal. The first thing I think of is Craig Conroy's going to blow a gasket in Calgary because I don't know if they got enough for this guy. And remember, the reports came out they're working on a deal, and then it was, we can't. This screams Vegas saying, actually, no, I don't think so. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's get the price lower so we can gouge these guys, and then we'll give you the deal in a month or two when everything quiets down. That's a conspiracy theory, but everything with Vegas seems to work out. Like, they paid a good price. They paid a rental price, but they didn't pay like an exorbitant price. They didn't. You look back at the Mark Stone deal.
They paid nothing.
Horrendous deal by Ottawa.
Yes,
absolutely.
Didn't they throw in that Brandstrom?
Yes, that was the guy.
piece.
And then they didn't give a first rounder on top because they said, well, if you get Brandstrom, you can have a second instead of.
And
a
Ottawa
first.
was talking like Brandstrom was.
Carlson.
Nick Lidstrom.
Yeah.
And he can't play in the league.
Just a horrendous trade. And Stone gets there, immediately signs for 8 years at 8 or whatever.
Well, and remember back to what they paid for Eichel?
Yeah.
I think they won that trade.
Tuck was good the first
Tuck,
year.
Krebs, a first.
That's it. That was
Yeah.
it. That was the trade.
And now, Hannafin was what?
Jonas, it's all, when you're looking at deals like that, it's like a guy's worth what someone's going to give you for him. And if that's what the best offer was, then you move the player. It's like you could sit around and keep Jack Eichel and be unhappy and have a complete circus on your hand. Name me a better offer than what
I think the point was they kept him too long, right?
Dude, there was a lot of moving parts about that.
There
His
was
neck,
some components.
not surgery,
Yes,
surgery.
for sure.
A lack of trust within both parties.
Was he healthy enough to even play? Could he play? Like, there was a lot of things going on with
A
that.
first-line center should go for more than that. Would be
Okay, what else
Yes.
is available? I
Yeah.
could phone Kevin Adams tomorrow and
don't know,
ask him if you want. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's
And I'll
going to
get
take the
back
best.
to you. I will report directly back to you.
No, slide into his DM.
Yes, that's good. There you go.
You got
Next time Jonas is on, we're going to play the slide.
We got to slide
gonna
into
play
Kevin
the
Adams'
slide.
DMs and say, what on earth? Or Pierre Dorian, for that matter. I have a feeling Pierre is probably not online much. Anywho. All right,
It would be
Bob
awesome,
Weeks.
if, by the way, if he just had like a burner account and he was just going all Brian Colangelo.
Yeah,
I bet you a lot of people have burners that you would not expect.
I guarantee
Everyone is so sensitive. I
Yeah.
guarantee you I've gotten DMs. Hey, you fat pig, what do you know about this? That's from a GM. That's from a GM.
that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would
That
not
should
be
be
surprised.
another new segment, burner account.
Who's
And
got
then
the
you could-
burner?
No. You could be the burner account, right? This is so-and-so's burner account. This is what they say.
Who would they be going at? What would they be defending?
Or you
Burner.
could just put up the message and say, guess whose burner account that is.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Man, me are moving and shaking today.
We got a lot cooking, man. Tiger's on the course down at Augusta. We're tracking that. Where are we here, Tiger? He's on the back of 2. He looks like he's chopping it around, but he is 1 under. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on what's going on down there. We got Bob Weeks coming up with more of an update. The Leafs are in action tonight. Pierre LeBrun coming up as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Round 1 down at Augusta was delayed 2.5 hours, but pretty much everyone's out on the course now, including Tiger Woods. And Jonas, you and I were watching him at the first tee. Like just a mob of people.
Oh, it's like you've never seen.
Crazy. How
Yeah,
many
like-
people?
When you're there and you're asking people like what, and they're like, if you want to get a piece of that guy, go 6 holes ahead.
Yeah.
If not more.
Right.
Bobby will probably tell you more because that's the only way to get a look. It's 35 deep. It's insane.
Well, can I ask you a dumb question? Who's next? Like, who's gets the next biggest
No one's
crowd?
going to move the needle
Nobody,
like that guy,
but
man.
probably Rory. There's a Rory, Scheffler, and Schauffele are out together. That's a pretty incredible threesome. Let's head down there now. Here's our buddy Bob Weeks. I'm sure you've tried to get an up close and personal look at Tiger. How tough can it be, Bob?
Next to impossible. You know, you're lucky at most of the tournaments, media are allowed inside the ropes. This is the only tournament. There's nobody inside the ropes. No coaches. There's the odd cameraman, but it's pretty clean look out there, and it is tough. And people will come, as you can see, with their chairs, and they put them down. So you sort of sit there, watch Tiger go through, and then maybe run 5 holes ahead, as O-Dog was just saying. It's pretty tough to get a glimpse.
Bobby, how important was it for Tiger that he's going to be playing maybe 12 or 13 holes today, as opposed to the weather was sounding like there might be no golf today. So how key for it was him to even have a sniff getting a majority of the golf done today?
Yeah, it's pretty good for him to be able to go out and get it. You know, we sort of thought maybe 13, 14, something like that. We'll see. It's pretty slow because the wind here is just ripping around here. It's about 50 clicks in the gust, so it's a bit tougher there. But for him to do that and get most of it so he doesn't have 32 holes tomorrow to play is a huge benefit for him. He still looks to me like he kind of walked around and he's looking a little gingerly, but he's playing all right. He's birdied the first hole and got a scrambly par on the second. So I think it's big for him and big for his, as he said, his endurance. That's going to be really what makes or breaks this week if he can make the cut.
With Bob Weeks. So Bryson DeChambeau famously a few years ago said that for him, Augusta National is a par 68 because he torches the par 5, so he looks at them as basically par 4s. He proceeded to miss the cut, I think, 3 years in a row after that. But he's possibly made up for it today. He shot a 7 under 65. The guy was dominant. He birdied the first 3 holes. He hit a bomb putt, I believe, on 17. We were saying off the top, Bob, like this probably sets him up for at least a top 10. I mean, what do you make of Bryson, and is this possibly the year everything connects for him?
Well, it's a little early yet. You never want to give the guy any kind of a crowning just yet. Yes, it's a pretty impressive round. It was a pretty tidy round. There wasn't really a lot of real scrambles, the odd one here or there, but he basically kept the ball in play. He hit it close a bunch of times. He made some good putts, some 10, 12, 15-footers. And, however, he did shoot 65, 66 once before out here and ended up, falling apart the next 3 rounds and finished in the 30s. So I think this is a little bit of a different Bryson. I think he's never really taken back the 68 comment, but he does feel, I think, a little bit more humble around this golf course and really what it can do to you. And his history, you're right, is just pretty horrendous here. So this is a great start for him. We'll see if he can get it going again tomorrow.
Bobby, Viktor Hovland's having a nice start, and I was watching him rack his brain on the range a couple days ago. How does a guy win the FedEx Cup and all the money he won last year and then just go so off track? It looked like he just looks kind of confused. It's like, how does that – I know the game is tough, but why would he want a new swing coach, different swings? Like, he was so dialed in at the end of last season, and they want to change everything up.
Remember Tiger at 97? He did the same thing, and it kind of worked out for him. But his comment was that he was curbing the ball too much, and he couldn't control it. As you said, it looked like he was in pretty good control coming down the stretch.
Come on, man. He was so good, it was scary.
And he's only played 5 times this year. He's kind of backed out of a bunch of tournaments, and when he has shown up, he's been pretty mediocre at best. And I have no idea why you would do that. It's beyond my comprehension. This is the first tournament I've seen him play where he's actually looked like the guy who won the FedEx Cup last year, the guy who was so hot in the Ryder Cup last year, although he just made a double at the 10th hole, I should point out. But he's a mystery, and I really don't know why he would do it. It took him so long to get the wedge game, which was his big weakness. He got that kind of ironed out, and that made him sort of, I thought, kind of bulletproof, but apparently not. And these guys have brains that work differently than ours do. Even when they're playing this great, they want to change it up. I don't know why.
So we've got it on in here, and Scheffler is on 12, and he put it in the back bunker. He just splashed it in for birdie. So he's up to 3 under through 12. Like, that's got to be terrifying. What we just said about Bryson, Danny Willett had a great round. Ryan Fox had a great round. But Scheffler's at 3 under through 12. He's cooking. If he ends up in the clubhouse 4 or 5 under, like, that is the ultimate bat symbol for the rest of the players, is it not, Bob?
It is. I think he's missed maybe 2 greens and maybe 1 fairway, and his putter has been kind of, I would say, a little better than mediocre, which is all it needs to be. And, this guy could run away and hide. He really has the tools right now that are scaring people. He is so confident with every part of his game. He's confident on the greens now since he switched to that mallet putter. He hasn't had an over par round since, I think, back at the British Open last year. It's ridiculous how well this guy is playing, and I can tell you, everybody who's out on that golf course sees that name up on the leaderboard moving up, and they're all getting a little nervous. It's not easy to play against a guy who is basically firing on all cylinders and just makes the game look easy, even around a course like this, even with the wind gusting, as I was saying before, up into the 50s.
Well, one guy that is in the clubhouse and possibly watching it with his feet up would be Corey Connors, who shot a 2 under 70 today. This guy, he's been great at this course over the years. He's, by all accounts, striping the ball like he generally does. What did you see out of Corey today, and how does it set up the rest of the week for him?
A lot of Corey Connors golf. He just finished up on 18, and it was really kind of one of those steady rounds. I think he's really figured out how to play this golf course, which takes some time. He started off with that bogey on the first hole, but really from there only took one other step backwards, and he probably could have been a little better. The putter wasn't great; it was pretty good, but he hits a lot of fairways. He hits a lot of greens. He puts himself, when he's on the greens, most of the time in the right positions too, which is key around here because you really don't want to have the side hill, the uphill, you got to feed it down into the bowls, which he's very good at. And I think you're going to see Corey have another good finish here. He sort of feels, I think, super comfortable around this golf course, which is saying a lot because it really can make you feel uncomfortable. The wind will be a big factor for him, but I like him for a good finish on Sunday, get himself in the mix.
Bobby, you see Greg Norman creeping around? What the hell's he doing at that golf course?
I saw him out in the street buying a ticket from a scalper. And
why would he do that? Wasn't he told not to show up?
Well, you can still buy a ticket and show up. They just weren't going to invite him to play or come and watch. I don't know really, to be honest with you. Apparently, he was following Rory's group today. I haven't seen that yet, but that always, of course, starts a few rumors.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Greg's a different guy, and he's got his history around this golf course, which is not a good history, to be honest with you. Not only did he lose that one to Faldo by gagging it on the last couple of days.
What about 86?
I was just going to say he was the victim of Larry Mize's chip in, right? So I mean, he's been close around here, and I think on that one Sunday way back, he sort of figured he had one arm in the green jacket already, and that gutted him from what I've heard from some people. Just that he wasn't able to go to the Champions Dinner and come back here every year, but. I mean, buying a ticket, that's
crazy. Like, that really is like some wild stuff. Yeah, I mean, and it was like that's the secondary market, too, And obviously there's a lottery process, but that's Greg Norman. Like,
isn't it kind of a good troll, though?
Is it, or is it embarrassing?
Or a bad troll?
Yeah.
I think it's embarrassing.
I would have thought that one of the live guys might have given him one of his passes. Each of the players in here gets like a dozen passes. Just give the boss one for a day or something and let him walk around, and you'd probably make a good friend. But I really don't know. It is embarrassing. It's kind of, I don't know. He's kind of hard to understand what he's doing. He's so dialed in on what he thinks is right for golf that he doesn't do a lot of listening, but apparently he's doing a lot of watching this week around a golf course that has tormented him for a decade.
Yeah. That's even worse is, guys are going to stop him like 12 beers deep. Hey, it's Greg Norman. Remember when you choked against Faldo back in 96?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where's your board shorts?
Just what I need, the reminder.
Yeah, that's what he really wants. All right, Bob, enjoy it down there. Thanks for the update.
Okay, take care, guys.
There's Bob Weeks, our TSN golf reporter, live from Augusta National. Again, Bryson DeChambeau's in the clubhouse, 7 under, 65 today. Corey Connors, though, Canadian flag in the top 10. He's 2 under, and Will Zalatoris 3 under. He just eagled 13. Scheffler's 3 under. He's on 13. Wyndham Clark's 3 under. There's a rookie at Augusta.
I wonder if Corey Connors, if he can elevate and really put his foot on the gas, because he can have 4 rounds of solid. If he can go 70 all the way around, it might top 10 him, but he doesn't win.
No, to win it, you got to go over the top.
Yeah, you got to really let it fly, and let's see what he got. Like, does he have that in the tank? I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Let's face it. He's going to have to shoot. He's going to have a day where he shoots a 65 or something. Yeah, he's going to have to do that. And the name that you see in the leaderboard is Scheffler. That's terrifying for everybody else, because even with Bryson doing what he's doing, Bob referenced it a couple years ago. He had a great start, and then he fell apart on Friday. Scheffler, it's borderline impossible to picture him falling apart. Like, if that guy is in contention and he's cooking, if he ends today at 4 or 5 under, that is a statement on Thursday to let everyone else know, I'm here to win this thing, and if you want to play for second, go ahead. But it's a long tournament. It is a long tournament. Tiger Woods currently 1 under. He's on the 3rd hole. All right, Jonas Siegel of The Athletic in here. Pierre LeBrun will join us in about 20 minutes. His take on Leafs Devils tonight. McDavid not on the ice again today. What do we see for him moving forward? Number of things to get into with Pierre. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Pierre LeBrun will join us later this afternoon. JP Ricciardi as well. The Jays off today, losing yesterday. But a lot of things to get into with JP, including Scott Boras losing clients. There's an update on the Shohei Ohtani story where his interpreter, I guess what I read today is that they are alleging he made 19,000 bets with this bookie.
Lot.
Do you know how
it wasn't just 4 million this guy got into? It's somewhere around 19, the report I read.
Yeah, like we're talking one of the worst gamblers of all time. But also,
it's not funny, but it's
crazy
insane.
amount of money. 19,000 bets means you're betting coin flips.
You're betting what turns up on your undershorts when you put them on in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
You have to get creative to find 19,000 bets.
Jonte Porter bets kind of thing.
Well, Jonte's in trouble. You see Adam Silver. Like, in the problem that Jonte Porter has, and that's the Raptor story and the allegations that he may have been informing people of his actions, and then props, and people are putting heavy money on Jonte Porter props. That alone sets off a radar. Who the hell's betting on
he's
Jonte
done.
Porter?
Adam Silver would not have brought that up if there wasn't like a really strong chance that he's gone forever. He threw away his whole career over that nonsense.
Yep, exactly. And he called it the cardinal sin. And the problem that Porter has compared to Ohtani is Porter, it's easy to make him a sacrificial lamb. Yeah. Easy to say, we need a guy that's going to, and again, if he's guilty of it, then he's got to own it. Mm-hmm. And you got to throw him out. Like, you have to. Like, the integrity of your sport is paramount. Even more so now that you're in bed with all the gambling and legalized gambling. You got to make sure everyone knows that it is predetermined. You have no idea how it's going to play out. There is no funny business going on. You've got to be harsh in terms of punishment. And if Porter did what he's alleged to have done, he should be kicked out. But it's easier than if it's a superstar, because then the league's really got,
well, how are we supposed to forget that the story with Ohtani changed?
I can't wrap my head around that either. That's why I think the jury's still out on this one, like how all the dust settles. And again, as of now, the FBI is saying Ohtani had nothing to do with it.
Still is goofy, though, that how it was one thing one day. Like, when there's
when there's
this much money involved getting spit out, it was one way, and that was it. And like, how that got botched up, I don't know if he was trying to save somebody. I don't know what went down, but that makes you wonder, man. Like, it just makes it fishy. It's just tough to believe.
Yeah, and yet Ohtani continues to play. The Dodgers, I think, are 10-5, and they're going to likely run away with the NL West and possibly pursue a World Series again. And I'm not sure when his name will come back into the fold in terms of how this story develops and ultimately plays out. OJ Simpson passed away yesterday. It was announced today at the age of 76. Yeah, like, this is one of let's call it what it is. He's one of the most infamous figures of the 20th century, like, without question. What he did, I know he got off the hook, but
just an insane. That whole thing is just
sickening.
It's good riddance, man. Like, I don't know. I have nothing to say about that.
It's not even. No one's here to listen. OJ, it became what it became. By the end, it was, I thought, really offensive the way he was even living his life. The way he would. Oh
my God! Coming on Twitter talking about NFL teams, it was like, you not have any bedside man. Well,
no remorse.
Not.
He's got none. That's the thing. Like, he has absolutely none. He was psychotic, that guy. Like, he had real issues, as we know. But in terms of the bigger story of who and what OJ Simpson was, he's a figure that will just simply never be forgotten. Like, you talk about a household name. Through the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s, he was talked about probably more than anyone else on earth. O.J. Simpson. Mm-hmm. And during the O.J. Simpson trial, it was something we've never witnessed before. I don't think we'll ever witness again.
Brian, even before that, like, wasn't he one of the first guys that, like, became an actor and was in comedies and was somewhat talented at it?
He was a star.
And he made that transition.
Yeah.
And then we all know what happened after it, and I don't know.
Well, and furthermore, he became an analyst. I think he was working, I want to say, for NBC. And to say nothing of this guy's football career, where he's in the Hall of Fame, truly one of the great athletes and football players of all time. First guy ever to rush for 2,000 yards. Mm-hmm. And he did it in 14 games. And, the Buffalo Bills geographically obviously have a huge connection here. And as far as I know, there is nothing that would make hey, OJ and the Bills, and that city obviously disowned him, as many, many different places did. But USC, what he did in college, I believe he won a Heisman. Like, it was just a remarkable football player, and yet completely irrelevant when you're talking about his legacy in the end. But his life, man, it's not going to be one that's forgotten. anytime soon. I wasn't aware that he had cancer.
I wasn't aware of that either.
I guess he had cancer, and that's why when the news broke today, it was pretty shocking, and because of who he is. And now what's going to happen is everything's going to be, dug back up in terms of his story, in terms of what happened in the early 90s. But even the book he wrote after, some of the interviews he
Wasn't
did.
the book If I Did It?
Yes.
Which is, come on.
And there's a video that's gone viral today of a reporter that interviewed him, asked him, did you do it? And he said no, but he gave this vibe off. And then later, he was pretending to like stab the woman as a joke. You got to see it. It's online. It's just one of the most wild things you'd ever seen in your life. Like just no remorse, no anything. And that's the story of OJ Simpson. And he passed away yesterday. All right, Pierre LeBrun coming up into the next hour. Leafs Devils tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.